Everybody, before we get into this morning's update, I want to give you a quick synopsis of what to expect. We're going to go over the XRP daily technical analysis as we're trading within a range. We have downtrending resistance that's at the 0.391 level, and then we have the falling channel resistance at the 0.406 level, and we'll talk about what that means. We'll go over the long term versus the short term, which what I mean by that is we're going to discuss what a short term trend versus a long term trend is, and maybe a little bit of what the market makers have in store, and also what the general trader's mindset is in a short-term versus long-term setting. I have a little bit of terminology to go along with that as well. So make sure to hit that like button, as it really does help push me through the analytics when I start this video. And make sure you watch until the end so that you can understand not only the terminology, but understand the pattern direction as we're forming a pattern on this Saturday morning in a thinly traded weekend. Good morning, 9:43 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, February 18th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, as it really does help push me through the analytics as I start this. We're going to go right into this update because our 16-year-old, she has her birthday today. Michaela, Julie's daughter, we're having a party today, so I've got to get through this because I got to get things set up. So XRP, we're going to start out with the technical analysis, and then we're going to go into the short-term versus long-term. And more so when we hit the long-term patterns, we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals and maybe some of the mindsets of a traditional trader. And then in the short-term, I'm also going to show you exactly what we're dealing with as well. So XRP, we talked about the 0.3910 level. That's that downtrending resistance line. Not even calling a pattern formation. I'm just showing this downtrending resistance line. It broke out over the top of it, and we talked about 0.3910. If it holds, we can pop back up to about the 406 level this weekend. If it breaks down from here and we lose the 20-day, our next downtrending support line would be around the 362, but we still have 386 on an overextension down that we could technically hold in this area, and we'll draw that horizontal line in just in case. So we could end up hitting this, or it could just hit down here on February 20th, and we would just bounce out of there. But as long as we're over that 386 level, and mainly right now the 39 cent, 391 where we're at in the area, we do have the higher ambitions to come up to that 406 level. And then if we break that falling channel, which I'm showing it as a falling channel because we have falling support, 1, 2, 3 hits here, 4 holding, falling resistance, 1, 2, and we're trying to get the third hit up here to confirm this falling channel resistance. Or we're looking to see if it breaks out past the 406, because that can happen as well. But it hasn't as of yet. Could we be putting in some kind of bull flag here? It's possible. We've had the 200-day crossing up and down, and now the 20-day is about to push through the 200-day, which is a bullish cross, but a bullish divergence, but a golden cross here would finish off, although the pattern is kind of in a weird way. So we have to pay very close attention to the shorter moving averages and also the short-term plays here in comparison to the long-term. But what I will say on this Saturday morning on this thinly traded weekend, with the futures market being closed, the DXY is offline, the gold, silver markets are not online, the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ are all offline right now until the futures opens, tomorrow night, and then inter trading starts at about 2 a.m. on Monday morning. So on a thinly traded weekend, it doesn't take as much to move the market. So right now, our downtrending support line is at 391. You can even say 39 cents as we move on by the end of February 18th, which is today. So you could say 39 cents we're trying to hold, which I can accept. And then this downtrending resistance is right up about 406. So now if we look at it from the short term compared to the long term, here's just a few key differences. And I will be going a lot more in depth with the long term pattern, because I believe you have to put more stock into the long term, but we have to talk about the short term pattern as well. So a short-term pattern refers to a recurring trend or behavior that occurs over a relatively brief period of time, such as hours, days, or weeks. These patterns may be observed in various fields such as finance, weather, and human behavior. In finance, short-term patterns may refer to price fluctuations that occur over a few hours or days, such as intraday trading patterns or daily price swings. In weather, short-term patterns may refer to changes in temperature, humidity, and precipitation that occur over a few days or weeks. Why do I share that? Just so you can see short-term things happen in everyday life. Short-term patterns are everywhere, no exception in finance. In human behavior, and this is very important for short-term behavior, in human behavior, short-term patterns may refer to trends in consumer spending or social media usage that occur over a few days or weeks. These patterns may be influenced by various factors such as holidays, events, and trends. So when we look at things in the short term, we can be influenced in a much more impactful way than in the long term because you have what? That is correct. You have very quick satisfaction. So what you're doing, you get satisfaction in the short term. When you're doing something in the long term, that immediate satisfaction is not felt and it becomes more of a mind game. So now we spoke of the long term. So in the long term, I'm going to give you 5 examples of if you're having a long trending period or a long-term period of trading, these are what you can expect. And instead of describing what long-term trading is, I'm going to show you 5 different key things when you speak of long-term trading. So in bull and bear markets, bull markets refer to extended periods of rising stock prices, while bear markets refer to extended periods of falling stock prices. These long-term patterns can last for several years and are driven by factors such as economic growth, interest rates, and investment sentiment. So in the short term, I talked about more of the individual person, your mindset. But in the long term, I'm talking about a market in particular. We're talking about finance, stocks, cryptos. Interest rates. Interest rates tend to follow long-term patterns that are influenced by a variety of factors, including inflation, economic growth, and monetary policy, which is all the things at the forefront right now for us, right now in the charts. For example, interest rates have been declining for several decades in developed economies due to low inflation and the actions of central banks. But now in the past, since 2022, we've been raising at an unbelievable level. Worldwide inflation and worldwide interest rates are going up and ballooning. Stock market cycles. Pay attention to this one. The stock market tends to follow cycles of expansion and contraction over the long term, driven by a combination of economic growth, corporate earnings, and investor sentiment. These cycles can last for several years and can be used by investors to identify potential entry and exit points in the market. Very important for what we're dealing with right now. We're trying to find a long-term entrance so that we can ride out the next bull market. Not a bear market rally, but a traditional bull market. Demographics. Demographic trends such as aging populations and changing birth rates can have long-term impacts on financial markets and economies. For example, aging populations can put pressure on social welfare systems and lead to slower economic growth. And when you have slower economic growth, not as much money is going to be going into the speculative assets. Technological advancements, which is also a very important why I've made it number 5 in the last on my list. Technological advancements can have significant long-term impacts on financial markets and individual securities. For example, the rise of the internet and e-commerce has transformed the retail industry and created new investment opportunities. And you could say that crypto, by creating the cross-border payments and sending money virtually seamlessly and free and almost at the speed of a button or press of a button, it's transforming how we send money worldwide today. So in conclusion, right now what we're watching for, if we're looking at the chart, you're looking at this downtrending support line, and we're going to see if this 39-cent area ultimately holds. Right now you could say it's a 391, but ultimately we're going to see if this downtrending support line at 39 cents hold, or if we break up to this 0.406, which is the falling channel resistance. And you are entitled to have your own opinion on how you want your chart to look. This is my chart, so it's in my image. So you're here to watch what I think, not what somebody else thinks. So if this 406 breaks at this downtrending resistance, that's where you would have a chance to come to the local double top, which started back on January 23rd, and that would be around the 432 level. Not around, that would be at the 432 level. And then if you break that, that's how you can have higher ambitions and come back to this broken bull flag, which we failed to do as of right now. But that sits right around the 45 cent level at the 0.451 if we move on this uptrending support line on the broken bull flag. Make sure to hit that like button if you want to trade like I do. Look in the video description below, and also look at the pinned comments. You can trade like I do. I mainly advise you to go to MEXC and or BITGET. There's no spot fees on the buy and sell. On BITGET, you'll have to use a VPN if you're new in the USA. If you're a user already, you don't need to. You can join me on UPHOLD as well. It's just the spot fees are higher, so I highly encourage you to send it back on the ledger if you want to send something over there. And then if you want to join Tom's Army, that's in the video description below, as I'm doing an expansion in the Telegram to Tom's Army 2.0, but that is something that you'll have to be invited into. Hashtag be better, do better. Hashtag FUD assassins. And remember, help one person each and every day. Because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, what the hell is the point?